Live, or I'd better be. Somebody threw me up yeah, you're live. If you see me and I'm live, yeah, you're live. Always, I hate the wait. And Woof, who is not in the room, but he's about. How you doing, Carol? I'm glad you made it. Hope others show. See, I always got to wait, man, until it gives me that there's this many. There's 2 people here. Well, crap. Man, it's like every week I start less and less. But that's just fantastic, though. It's just fantastic that you 2 are here. You can hear what I got to say. Well, tonight I'm going to be covering the last 6 months, or excuse me, the last year of the Delphi investigation. And this is where TV comes into play. Now, because of my paranoia, and somebody told me that on the 10th they was going to delete all channels. It got kind of out there. So I took that into consideration. Went through, made sure that everything that I had down, that I had uploaded to YouTube was then downloaded so that I could upload it to a different video channel if need be. And I do have a BitChute channel, and that's in the description below. So if you guys want to subscribe to BitChute, right there is my link to get there. Now, in the last year, it's kind of went like this. On November 19th of 2018, the Catholic supply store, a sexual assault and first-degree murder was committed in St. Louis. Now, it was 2 days until Thomas Bruce was arrested for that, and I think that was on November 21st of 2018. Now, when that occurred, and shortly right after, St. Louis reached Carroll County, and they was like, hey, man, look, we arrested a man down here, first-degree murder. He was dressed like your guy in the commission of this murder. Now, not only that, this man has never been arrested before, has no DNA or fingerprints in the database. Now, upon calling them and telling Carroll County that, and it's my natural assumption that what happened at that point was they as well sent photographs of the man. Now, upon sending those photographs, Sheriff Lesenby would have went to the 2 people that seen the man and said, is this the man that you saw there that day? Now, even though I do believe that they both said, yeah, absolutely, that's the guy that I've seen there that day. Even though they had did that, there was still the confirmation, because right after he was arrested and they called Carroll County, the FBI was there to get a DNA sample from Thomas Bruce, and they did. Now, they took that back to Quantico and prepared that to put into the CODIS. Now, right before Christmas of last year, in an interview, Sheriff Lesenby had said, we sent our suspect DNA off to Quantico before Christmas. Now, that was Christmas of 2018, right about 1 month after his arrest. So it's my assumption that all of that transpired because, yes, both people said, yeah, that's the man I seen right there. So I started contemplating that, because I downloaded the videos, but I went back because, see, I never really go back and watch my videos like everybody else. If you make videos, when do you go back to ever watch yourself? It seems kind of lame. Well, being lame as I am, I went back because I wanted to see at what point I had said, yeah, he's our guy, no doubt. Now, the date that I came out with, and you can go back and watch that on my videos, was December 9th of last year. On December 9th, I came out and I said, yeah, I've checked all the criteria. And not all of it. Mind you, not all of it, because some of it could not be at that time. I couldn't really check into all that criteria. But after checking off the basic criteria, I came to the conclusion that, hey, I think I'm looking at the guy here. I really do. I think that this guy is the same guy that, we are looking at as a suspect in Delphi. And that's when I came out with that in that video on December 9th. I said, yes, Thomas Bruce, I do believe now, is Bridge guy. He's that guy. No, these are my old ones. Oh, man. See, I take them off and then everything's blurry. Put them back on. Yeah, it looks good. But I just really only use them to see the screen, Ben. But so that was on December 9th. And shortly after that, if not in that video, I'm trying to think of how I worded that, because it may have been in that video. Once I found, no, I know better, because in that video, I didn't know at that time, I didn't have his route to his brother's house. Once I found that route to his brother's house, and it did past Monon High Bridge Trail, I said, I got him. Now I know that this is the guy. And then the rest started falling into place thereafter. Now, with that having been said, because coincidentally, that was 1 year ago yesterday. And that's how long, actually longer than that, because I was making videos about him before that, after his arrest. But that's when I can look back and say conclusively, at that time, and probably before that, I knew pretty well that he was the man. Now, I took this, which is an affidavit of truth right here. This is 100 deductions that I have made concerning Thomas Bruce in the Evansdale, Delphi, and the rape and murder of Mary, I think that's pronounced Pryor, in Lennon, Michigan. Now, well, it also has some on the Catholic supply store, but these deductions right here are the main. I do not call the person in here man. I do not call him suspect. In every single one, I call him Thomas Jerome Bruce, Sr. at the top, but named after his birth name, Thomas Jerome Bruce. And that is what I am standing on right there, that he is the suspect, that in a year's time, he will have charges filed in those 3 crimes. Now, people had asked me if I was going to write a book. No, I'm not writing a book, because I'm not a writer. I'm not a writer. I mean, look, there's people that can write books. It ain't me. So, not being a writer, I got a friend that's a writer. Guy's like, dude, I can write. You can? Hell yeah, that's what I do. So, okay. I said, well, if I hand you the facts, could you write that into? Yeah, absolutely. I says, all right, you do that. Now, somebody else had reached me, and it might be my special guest this Friday. Don't miss that. Friday the 13th, 6 o'clock. Be here. You got to be. You do not want to miss that show. If you have friends, family, or puppies, allow them to know so that they can be here. Okay? And share that shit out, because that has got to get out to the world. That's the big one, man. That is going to hold. Now, that video, the video I do before I go live, will not hold in it my deductions. But what it's going to be is it's going to be a true timeline, a true timestamp of the Delphi murders. Now, I went there Saturday, and I did the complete walkthrough. I parked at the area where the suspect had parked. I got out, and I walked that all the way down to Monon High Bridge, down the trail, all the way to Monon High Bridge, walked it all the way across, down, then back down after the private drive, up the car trail, to Deer Creek, crossed Deer Creek. Let me tell you, that was cold. That was cold walking across Deer Creek. And I got to the other side, and I stopped. I stopped the camera. Now, I restarted it and went around the entire crime scene twice, pointing inwards, stopped again in the exact same position I was beforehand, and started the camera back up. Now, that's when I left the crime scene. From the crime scene, I started straight back up, walked back across Maxwell's property. Was that Maxwell? Anyway, and back to the 501 trail, and then back out the Freedom Bridge, and then back to our car where the suspect was parked at. Now, that entire time was 43 minutes. Now, take in mind, though, that the crime occurred longer than what it was I was there, but I cut that piece out. Okay, so when I start that at the time that he's leaving, I trace that back from the time that flannel shirt guy had seen him. Okay, now I say, okay, if that's 10 minutes till 3, let me backtrack that. You see where I'm at? Because he arrived or actually Cheyenne arrived, and he arrived 10 minutes behind her. So I set that up in a 3-screen situation that he goes up, gets the abduction, takes him over to here, the crime's committed, and then walks out at this time. Now, at that time, you will be able to see it in live time, how each person would have seen it on the same screen. So you don't want to miss that, because that is going to be premiere. You do not want to miss that. That is going to be a great video, people. I can't wait for that. In fact, I still got to complete the editing, but man, I want it to look good because, man, let me tell you, it's going to be a great video. And so is my special guest. She got me premiere information on his vehicle, got me the information that I needed. And it is the vehicle that was used in Evansdale. I knew the moment I seen it. In fact, let me take you back to when she had sent me that. She sent me a list of his vehicles that he paid taxes on in 2012. Now, she sent that to me, and I looked at it, and I scanned down through there, and I'm like, man, the vehicle ain't there. And I wrote her back, and I'm like, man, yeah, I don't see the vehicle. But then again, man, there's a lot of the vehicles that I knew that he had that aren't there. So I said, maybe that vehicle was in his wife's name, I mean, because I'm positive that was his vehicle. Now, when I wrote that, I sent it, and the telephone rang. Now, there was 2 other messages from her. Well, it was my friend down the way, and he's all like, oh, hey, man, dude, can you run down, play a game of chess or something? Man, I'm a little bored. All right, be right down. So I head down to his house. I was down there for probably about an hour and a half, man. Came home, opened up her next message, okay? And that was the one. It was the completion of the vehicles, okay? Because in that one, there it was. As soon as I seen it, I'm like, yes. And that is what she had wrote me. She's like, I think this is it right here. Well, you know what's odd? And let me tell you about this. I was telling Icons, and maybe you guys know who Icons is, man. He was a special guest, go back a couple weeks ago. Guy's got a lot of common sense. I was telling him about the vehicle. I said it was I said in 2012, it was a white, bigger, boxy style, older Suburban. He's like, you mean I'm like, exactly. He already knew. He didn't say a year, but he knew what vehicle it was. And that's exactly the vehicle that he owned. So, you don't want to miss that. And that's going to be really good to have her with me because, man, this lady can look up some stuff. She really is, man. She is premier at it. And she got me that like final little piece. I mean, the only piece that is missing out of my equation is that video. The video of him walking across the bridge there in Delphi. You can't see his face clear enough to say who it is. I already know. And I know that Carroll County's already got his DNA, people. So anyway, let's start with this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up the photos here. Let me see. We want like so. Do we want it like that? Yeah, let's do it like that. Yeah, let's do it like that. All right, this here is, of course, Thomas Bruce's house. That's in Imperial St. Louis. That's where he was arrested at. Now, one more time, I'd like to say, man, that, I mean, he's got the Don't Tread on Me flag, and now I find that to be a little disrespectful because, I mean, the Gadsden flag, man, that goes to my heart, man. That is American. And he isn't. I don't like people like him being in my world. Actually, I really don't. I mean, it's a monster that lives that really bothers me. Now, in this photo here, I want you guys to take special attention to his eyes. Watch this shit. People, that is some soulless eyes, man. That is some soulless eyes. That's exactly what those are. That is an evil man. Smart Money says he got that right there, the damage to his right eye when they took his head to the ground. That on top right there is probably rug burn, man. I hope the back of his head's kind of beat in. Now look at his nose right here. You see the indent? You can tell where he wears glasses. You can see it like right there. But now, on the thing here, look right here on top of his head, because you can clearly see where the hair is darker here, right there, and on top right here. His head was he was graying, but like when the murders happened, he would have been 51 when that happened. He was already graying. Now, when you look at the sketch in comparison to his face there, people are like, yeah, but he ain't got no hair. The Delphi suspect did. Well, yeah. Well, you know what probably happened is that he shaved his head, changed the way he looked, like law enforcement said that he would, like that. I mean, hell, man, he was already graying, shaved his head. Yeah, what do you expect? I mean, some people can't put 2 and 2 together and come up with the proper number. They're incapable of it. I don't know why, man. Maybe it's the school system. It's hard to say. But anyway. Now, this is the new sketch. And now, here's what bothers me. There's the new sketch, and there's Thomas Burrows. New sketch, Thomas Burrows. Well, now, neither person that's seen the guy, seen him without his hat on. Oh, shit. Hang on a minute. Could you guys see that all right? Okay, you can. All right. All right. I was just making sure because I thought, man, maybe I didn't add that. Yeah, it's on stream. All right. Sorry. So that right there, I do call fake, man. I do. There's no hair around here, and we know that the suspect had that. Neither person that seen him without his hat, with his hat on. They had no idea what his hair looked like. Zero. Now, they did try to make that look like a younger person to fit their going description that, oh, he's 18 to 40 and lives around here. The FBI don't know how to investigate. But yeah, I ain't buying it, man. I ain't buying into that. Now, again, this is what law enforcement proposes. I say different. I really honestly do. And not only that, I got the nails put in the coffin on that. It is TB. Now you know. Now, here's his latest mugshot. And wow, he looks very eerie there if he never did before. There it is. His eyes look dead there. And tell me I'm wrong, man. His eyes look literally dead. They're like a lighter shade. I don't know, man. He looks kind of out of it there, man. I mean, I guess that's what looking at life without parole will do to you. But anyway, now take a look at the sides of his head. Like right here and here, you can definitely see where that darker color hair was coming in. And that is a brownish red, by the way. Now, when a person hits 51, and I'm a kind of a living testament to this, your hair will start to gray. I mean, I don't have the balding or the graying that he does by any chance. I mean, his whole family is kind of gray at an earlier age. But, that's when the gray starts coming on. And it don't faze me a bit that he's grayer now than what he was pushing 3 years ago. That is how it works, man. That's how graying, happens. Now, here is him beforehand. But again, this is after the commission of the crime in Delphi. Now, notice that his head is shaved. You see? And, I think that probably his reasoning behind that was, well, man, I'm graying and balding, and what do I need hair for anymore anyway? Might as well just shave it off, right? Just get that on out there. Because he didn't want to be compared to the photos taken in Delphi. And he knew that it was out there at that time. But again, here, look at his eyes. Look at those eyes. See, there, they don't look as soulless. They actually got like good color to them. Now, it could be like in part because they're behind glasses, but he just doesn't look as bad off as he does in that last mugshot, man. And he's doing a real disservice to the Cardinals there. Just want to point that out. Like, I'm sure they're not happy about that, but, whatever. Now, here's the nickels. Now, this is an older nickel. here, and I can't really see what year that was made. It's quite tarnished, but this here's a 2017. Now, in this, and I'm just pointing this out to anybody who may inquire or who may be here that would inquire, this was the reason for this. This is the reason that he gave on his Facebook post, is because he was saying, I can't drive 55. Nickel, nickel, 5-5. You see where I'm at. And he put the song I Can't Drive 55 by Sammy Hagar in the comments below that. However, in the nickel on the left here, you will see that this here is Thomas Jefferson. He was our president, for any millennials that may be out there. He once was, a president here. But now, in the Facebook post where Thomas Bruce had posted this, and I don't know who it was a friend of his, I believe. He said, I think that that's Thomas Jerome, not Jefferson. Well, then I thought about it, because Imperial, he lived in Jefferson County. And if taken to be correct in the way that I assume it to be, what it could really stand for is Thomas of Jefferson County murdered Liberty in 2017. That's the date of the crime here. And under it has a D Denver mint mark, which could it be for Delphi, in Delphi. And I think that that is exactly what was being played. And that not being able to drive 55, that could definitely be taken as after the fact of the murders in Delphi. Because Smart Money says because he drove, he was trying to get out there, without actually speeding and being pulled over. So that was probably quite terrifying in his shoes, although for you and I, we wish that it never happened. But at the same time, he is in jail now. So let's go to the next. Now, I want you to look at his hair here, because this was, I believe, now this could have been before Delphi, but look at his hair color. You can definitely see that right here, it is a lot darker than what it is now, when it's grown out. That's because in that time he was graying, but he had his hair longer back then. It definitely was longer than what it is now. It was before he shaved his head. But you can tell that his hair had darkened over time. Now, in this, it was, I forget what degree he got. It was at some community, Jewish community center. I don't know what that was for, but he got some degree there. Now, this is with his friends. I don't really want to show that because I don't know those people. Well, this one I will. Now, this is an older photo. This is when he graduated. I believe that was basic training in the Navy. And that is a friend of his from his youth. May have actually, no, I don't think that they were. I don't know if they went in together, but maybe they did. I know that he said that he showed up for his graduation in the Facebook post. But anyway, that's when he had graduated basic training. Of course, he's to the left, or, if you're looking at it, that's Thomas Bruce there. But that's back in an earlier day. That's like 85, 84, 85. Somewhere right in there. It was the same year I joined. He's 45 days older than I am. And I think we went into basic training at about an approximate time. Now, I joined in December, actually, Friday, December the 13th, just like this Friday of 1985 was the day I swore in. Now, he probably joined the same year, I would think, which would be 85. Could have been, again, it could have been 84, though. And I really should probably look a little further into that, but it just never really meant a lot in solving this. Now, this here is the video, but that don't play. It's just photo on here. But that there is Thomas Bruce. Now, you can't see his face, and he does have a flap cat on. Kind of like mine. Mine's a little more rounded, where his was just where the cloth comes up to the front of the cap here. Kind of a different style of flat cap than what I got, or that's exactly in the suspect sketch, but it is a cap. Now, in an older video, I had spoken that in the one picture, it looked like hair, and everybody in that hopped on the fact of it was hair. Well, back then I kind of did believe that it may have been hair, but in some areas it looked like a hat. In that one photo, it looked like hair. Just like down here, it looks like a fanny pack. It could be a holster. It could be part of his shirt. We don't know. There's just so many things in these right here that pixelate out that you really can't tell. It's just like his face. Well, you can't really tell. You can't tell who that is. I mean, it's way too pixelated. And the more you'd blow it up, the worse it would get. Now, here's the sketch that we was given up front. Now, this was in July of 2017. Law enforcement said that they had worked months on this. Now, in months, from the two people that had seen the guy, I expected to look a lot like him. And they would have had to agree, or they never would have released it. Now, when they came out with this, their words were, "This is what we believe Bridge Guy looks like." Now, after our investigation and speaking to a couple people, this is now what we feel he looks like. So don't concentrate on the hat. Look more at his facial features. That's what they told us. Now, at some point, they come out and they're like, "Oh, yeah, no, we ain't worried about that no more. No, that person, we're not worried. They're no longer a person of interest." So you caught Bridge Guy and you didn't tell anybody? And now Bridge Guy's no longer a suspect? Is that what you're getting at? Yeah, I didn't think so. I never did think so. And when they came out with that second sketch, I knew it was crap. I knew it then because I already knew who did it in April last year. I had known for a couple of months who did it. So I never bought into the new sketch, but, there's always people that's going to believe law enforcement over me, and that's most people. But now here's the Catholic supply store. Okay, now this is the one that he went in, forced the women into a back room. That's what he's in jail for now in St. Louis County, in Missouri. Now, in that crime, he took 3 ladies that was in there. I believe 2 were patrons of the store, and the other was the cashier. Took him into a back room. I think everybody knows what occurred there. But now the one woman would not comply, and he shot her in the head, killing her. Bam, right in front of the other 2, but then continued to sexually assault the other 2 women. Now, think about that, because you have a man that was a Christian pastor doing that, committing that crime. Now, why would a man that was ever a Christian pastor do that? It made no sense to me. It's like that one side of him, that good, happy, friendly side. He's a Christian, that side wouldn't do that. But this other side is a monster. This side over here hates. It will kill. It will brutalize anything innocent and weak. That is that man that's on the other side of that coin. And that's the man that went into the Catholic store and committed that crime, is that bad guy. Now, he turns into that bad guy after he's been drinking. Once he reaches that stage, compliance is a must, because he will kill you if you do not comply. That is his standard operating procedure. Now, here he is in court on that. Now, these are his first photos. These were taken right after the crime, because, see, he still got the bruised eye here. This up here is still a little scrape looking. But that's what he looked like. Now, I can't say right there he looks like a murderous fiend. I can't. That guy standing right there, if he was to smile and have a good nature and say, nobody would ever presume that he's that man. Like I said, everybody that knew him said, "I can't believe he did that." I mean, I know that they got the right guy, but if I didn't know that, I would swear that he couldn't have done that. His wife said that. His friends, his neighbors said that. Everybody that knew him said the same. He's a happy guy, man. He's a good, friendly guy, very loving, compassionate. Now, you don't get that from many. You really don't. When you get a serial murderer and a brutal rapist, people will always be like, "Yeah, he always stayed to himself, man. He was a little off." Everybody knew that, man. You could tell when you was speaking with him that something wasn't clicking right. This guy wasn't. I mean, this guy was two sets of a different personality. He had the one side and he had the other. And when you crossed this other over here, man, compliance, because like a failure to comply, he would kill you. He didn't have second thoughts. That is insane. But so is he. You know, this guy is most assuredly insane. He has to be. Now, this here is Jamie Schmidt. Now, this is the woman that he killed at the Catholic supply store. She did not comply. She said, no, I will not do that. And he killed her. Now, the other two women did forcefully, mind you, but they did comply. And he left, and he left them alive. Now, I think that that was all part of a stage because he knew that he was going to be arrested for this act. He knew that when he was committing it. And like I say, man, I take that back to C.C. Moore. He knew that the time was coming. They was going to come knocking at his door. He knew that. You know, he wanted to go out in his own way. And this was all a part of it. You know, that first degree murder, I think that his thoughts were, when they come to arrest me, I got a gun, you know, police suicide. That's probably what he felt was his answer to it. Because I think that there was a part of him that didn't want to live. You know, he enjoyed what it was that he did in these acts, but the other side of him couldn't live with what he had done in those acts. You know, it was compelling circumstances. It was the good guy and the evil monster right there that was confronting each other. He wanted to go commit those when he was drinking. After the fact, man, it was hard for him to live with what he had done. Now, I mean, that's just me. I could be off on that. But I think that when you have a guy that's like that then goes out and commits these acts, there's definitely got to be a piece of them that is very, I don't want to say hesitant. There's another side that can't believe what was done. Just like Ted Bundy said after his first one, he said, I felt like a demon. You know, I found it very hard to confront what I had did. You know, that I couldn't, you know, I found it very hard to live with what I had did. Well, some people are like that. Ed Kemper, you know, he knew that what he was doing was horrible. He knew the lives that he was hurting, you know, but there came that time when it emotionally clicked that he said, I can't continue like this, you know, because other girls will die, you know, and I don't want that to happen. And he turned himself in. Others don't. Like Ed Kemper said, some stay out there, man. Some stay in the rain. You know, others come in. You know, that was me. Others stay out there in the rain, you know, and that was TB. Now let me go to the next photo here. This is another photo of him taken after the Catholic supply store. Average looking guy, man. I mean, just, you would never look at him to take him for the monster. I wouldn't. If I was to meet him, probably, I would never think this guy had done that. You know, I think that most people were looking at like sexual offenders, man. People that had that quirky look to him, like he does in that last photo. You know, but he didn't have that. And in fact, even when he's smiling, he looks very gregarious, very happy. And I think that is the way that everybody took him. There's another photo, man. They got him shackled down. Now here, when I seen this photo, that's where, you know, it was right here in this. Oh, because in this photo, you can kind of see in his face right there. When I seen that, I thought that is the last face those girls seen. You know, you can see it right there in that side profile. I mean, you can see that maybe something ain't right. You know, it's like in his eye right there. You know, it just gives you that off-putting sensation that, yeah, this guy may be a bad dude, may be a very bad dude. Well, and the shackles don't help with that, I'm sure, but well, oh man, crap. Now, the only reason that I have this in here is because of the date. This is January 11th of 2017. That's when he filed bankruptcy. Okay. January the 11th, man. That is, minus 2 days, or actually plus 2 days. That is 1 month prior to the Delphi murders. He was not at work at that time. He quit right after filing on the 11th. His coworker said he resigned right after. In fact, he may have resigned while he was filing, because he said once he was filing after that, I think, that he just stopped showing up. And that's why they said he resigned, because he stopped showing up for work. Now, I think that may have been in part for a reason. He knew that reverse date was coming. Now, I'm not saying that was the reason for filing bankruptcy, but there may have been a reason why he didn't want to be at work. When you're filing bankruptcy, maybe that ain't the best time to quit a job. You're already low on cash. But he had plans for a month later, and those plans did occur. Now, this here is the charges that he's got filed on down in St. Louis. First-degree murder, armed criminal action, sodomy or attempted sodomy, armed criminal action, sodomy or attempted sodomy, first degree. Wow, okay, it goes 3 times. Jeez, wow. Kidnapping, first degree. Armed criminal action, kidnapping, first degree. Armed criminal action, kidnapping, first degree. Armed criminal action, burglary, first degree. Armed criminal action, tampering with physical evidence, and felony prosecution. So, yeah, that is like 17 different counts in St. Louis. Let me back. I'm going to need to make this smaller so I can then go forward here. Now, that takes us to Evansdale. Now, that's Black Hawk County. That was on Friday, July 13th, 2012. Now, I had tied him back to that because the MO, the modus operandi of the Delphi murders and the Evansdale murders are an exactitude. Each town is approximately the same size. Evansdale to Delphi, I think Evansdale has like 500 more people in it than what does Delphi. Both of them have a small trail, just like Monon High Bridge Trail. Both trails set right off the highway. There's 381 interstate in Evansdale. It's Highway 25 in Delphi. Both of them you can, of course, hike on, but both trails are not heavily traveled. I'll put it to you like that. I mean, if you go out there on a day, it's a really nice, beautiful day to be hiking, there probably going to be a lot of hikers. Now, if you go there on a day where it's not a beautiful day, there's probably going to be almost zero hikers. So they're not heavily traveled trails, and I think that's what gave him the brazenness. That and the alcohol. Now, on Evansdale, I don't know whether he was traveling through north and stopped there, but he had lost a job 1 month prior to that one as well. Same identical. Now, he wasn't just very flippant about jobs. He wouldn't get a job, quit it, go to the next job, quit it, like that. Both of these jobs he had for at least 5 years. Now, after he lost each job, 1 month later, both crimes occur, which are, again, identical. They're identical type crimes. He shows up, he abducts 2 girls, he commits a crime, he kills the 2 girls. In both sets, those 2 girls were both found by a creek. Now, once that I had concluded, once I got the route, once I said, yes, not only is he the Delphi suspect, he drove there, and I could show, yes, he did drive there. Now, it was after that. It was after I had already come forward with the fact that he had drove there that they said, yes, there was a vehicle and it was parked here. Thank you. Thanks, law enforcement. Had my back on that. So I knew that he drove, and then that's when I went and re-looked at Evansdale, because both of them were on a reverse date. Now, that's very meaningful. And I think that the FBI looked at that like right off the go of, you know what? There's something's at play here. We better send an agent, because if there is foul play at hand, and we could get some DNA that could really help us out in this. So I think that that's why there was an FBI agent in Delphi on the 14th, because they wanted to know, hey, is there dead people here? I mean, was there foul play? Is it the same guy as what was in Evansdale? That's what they wanted to conclude, and I believe that they did. I think that that was the first thoughts that they had when they sent investigators out. Now there's the crosses, and I think that that is there at Myers Lake, which I think is now called, is it Little Angels Trail or Two Angels Trail? But it was pretty much named that after Elizabeth and Larry Cook. And it's very sad. And, you know, I'm positive that the people that live in and around Evansdale feel the same way as what the people that live in and around Delphi do. Because when two girls are taken from a community like that, you know, two innocent lives that were out just enjoying their livelihood and their freedom, you know, and to be taken in such a horrific way. That's what got me looking at it, you know, because I was just following law enforcement here in Delphi, you know, what they were saying and relaying it to you. But as time went on, I mean, while I'm looking at all the evidence and the facts and the circumstances and the criteria, there wasn't anybody to look at until they got the call from St. Louis. When I heard about that, that's when I started looking into him. I didn't find this guy on my own. You know, and I don't want people to think I'm sitting here saying, oh, I just went out and found him. I didn't. I needed a name. But once I started looking into it, I started checking off that criteria. You know, when everything starts matching up, there comes a point when I'm like, this guy likely did it. Now, that's what I alluded to in the December 9th, 2018 video. I believe he's the guy that did it. I can't place how he was here. I can't say why he was, but I believe that he was there in Delphi. It wasn't long after that when I found the route. Now, this is him right after he joined the Navy. And I think that's why he was down at the CIS school in Tennessee. It's because he wanted to be a pilot. He wanted to drop bombs on people. You know, that's probably what it was really about. But there's a reddish brown hair. There's he's a Scotsman. That's why all of his personal emails begin with Scotsman. Very proud of that. Or he was a 33rd degree Mason, one or the other, which could definitely play. I mean, the way he got out of that pullover being drunk as hell. Yeah. You know what? If that was me, I'd still be doing time. Yeah, I'd still be doing time a year later. Now, this is the route here. Now, this goes from Imperial, where he wasn't living in Imperial, and I don't know why I put this picture up. You know, I think that I did it because it had the route from St. Louis to Fort Wayne, and I thought it was the other one. But this up here, the gray one, is the Hoosier Heartland route. This is I-70. Now, from St. Louis to Fort Wayne, it gives this one here as the main, rather than this one from Imperial. But at first, I thought he was living in Imperial at Quail Run Park. He wasn't. In fact, in 2017, he was living at Lacklink Road, right up here on the north side of St. Louis. And he had always taken the Hoosier Heartland to his brother's house in Fort Wayne. And that's how I knew that right up in here, that's where it crosses right by Monon High Bridge Trail. Now you know, if you didn't already know before from my repeating myself. Now, this is going to Evansdale right here. And I need to blow this up, but it won't be the same as what's on Google Maps because it pulls the shit. Okay. Yeah, it don't have it right here, but it does if you go to Google Maps and you blow that up. You'll see that like right up into, you see that's Iowa City. No, there's Evansdale there. This is 380, not 381. And it goes right through Evansdale, right here. Now, if you take exit 70, that takes you right to Myers Lake Trail. And if you take from St. Louis to Minneapolis, it takes that route. Now, he could have been traveling north of Evansdale, but again, he wasn't at work. He could did the same as I believe that he may have done in Delphi. Got up in the morning when his wife was going to work, headed out, committed the crime, and came back. All right, but this right here is a 5-hour trip up there, and then the commission of the crime, and then 5 hours back. So that could have been en route to a place north of there. I don't think that he killed a whole day like that. He would have had some explaining to do as to where he was for that long. You see where I'm at? Now, this here is the Evansdale profile, and I want you to read this here. This right here says, the suspect may have been experiencing stress related to legal troubles, spousal problems, employment difficulties, financial strain, or mental health issues in July 2012. Well, that was basically all of those aside of spousal problems, but I don't know about that. You know, I don't know if he had any issues with his wife, but I'm fair to say he probably didn't, man. I think that they got along pretty well. But the rest of that, employment difficulties, financial strain, mental health problems, hell, even legal issues from the past may have been stressing him. There's any multitude of what could have been on his agenda at that time. But employment difficulties, he just lost a job 1 month prior to. Financial strain, yeah, on behalf of that. Mental health issues, need I say more? You see where I'm at? The guy definitely had mental health issues. Now, let me blow this up some here. Indiana State Police say similarities between the double slaying of 2 teenage girls 3 weeks ago and the unsolved 2012 murder of 2 Evansdale, Iowa girls are coincidental at this point. But investigators are not close to the idea of a connection. That's how it's phrased. They're not close to the idea of a connection. Well, that's saying they was leaving that door open. Well, I'm going to go one step further and say, while they didn't know at this time, because this is 3 weeks after the Delphi murders occurred, they didn't know at that time, but I'm pretty sure that at that time, the FBI was pretty, that, yeah, the two were one of the same. Because that's why they had an agent there that quick. I mean, they seen the connection. They wanted to get there. They wanted to be in on the investigation because they definitely wanted the evidence that pointed to the person who may have did that. Now, in Delphi, there was DNA. But again, that DNA had no match because the suspect had never been arrested. Didn't even have fingerprints in the database. So they could find no trace of him. No trace of who it was. But they was on the lookout. That's the Nichols again. I kind of covered that. Now, this here is from St. Louis to Delphi. Now, this here is a 4 hour and 33 minutes. Now, that's going regular speed. TB, he liked to speed along. I mean, he was a very fast driver. And that's what he states. So I think that, you could probably cut that 4.5 hours down to about 4 hours for him getting there, 4 hours back, 1 hour off the clock. I say if he left Delphi at 3 o'clock, he could have been home by 6 because that would be 4 hours minus 1 hour going from Eastern time into Central time, losing an hour. You see where I'm at? So he could have been home by 6 and easily made a dinner date with his old lady and never been missed. Would not have been missed on that. Now, that's if it happened like that and he wasn't en route to his brother's. I'm not ruling either out because I wasn't there and I don't know, but I know that it was. 1 second. It's icons. Hello. Hey, I'm in a live show right now. Oh, I go to bed at about 12 midnight. You can call up till then. All right, peace. Icon's calling me. My day just got better. All right. So anyway, back to where I was. Now this here being that long, and again, I wish this was on Google Maps because if I blow it up, I can show you exactly right here where 25 crosses right by Monon High Bridge Trail. Let me kind of get this back out the way. Now, this here is a comparison of his face to the Delphi sketch. I hope I ain't blowing that up too big. But you can definitely see the similarities there in the face, right down to the nose. You know what? I never really noticed that before. I never really did. But I mean, it could be where the light is. But if you look on the left side, on his left side right here, right there at the nose, and over here, see how it's got that little indent? And I mean, it could be from where the light is, but there could be something maybe a little wrong with these nose right there. Really could be. Never really noticed that, but now the suspect's DNA will be the quickest way to look for other possible crimes. The St. Louis County Crime Lab is already comparing samples. Deputy Director Quality Manager Lisa Campbell said they swabbed the inside of his cheek. We were able to obtain a buccal swab from Mr. Bruce so that a sample was processed in our local laboratory, she said. The DNA has been entered into the combined DNA index system, CODIS, where it will scan against DNA for unsolved cases across the nation. Now, that is what's going to pay the bills. That is what's going to really nail this guy down, because they can't come out with that until that crime is over, because there is no place where he has committed a crime, where he has committed a murder or a brutal rape, that can go down there and talk to him. Every single one of them is going to talk to him before filing grand jury indictment against him and filing charges. Now, after the crime is complete next year in January or October of 2020, that's when they can all go down and talk to him. After that time, you're going to hear huge charges. I can tell you, Evansdale, Delphi, the Mary Pryor murder, which really bring, I mean, after looking at that really gave me kind of a deeper insight, into the murder of Susan Collins, because that was brutal. And you know what? You don't see rapes that are that brutal. If he was in the area, Smart Money says he pulled that off as well, which really brings the coincidence into it. Susan Collins, Elizabeth Collins, that could be a coincidence. I'm positive. I mean, I'm sure that he knew neither. I mean, he may have seen Susan Collins prior to, but, I'm positive that he didn't know, Elizabeth Collins. And that could be a coincidence, because Collins ain't, it's not like Collins is a rare last name. Now, this here was his jobs. Okay. Now, right here, Snooks Grocer Incorporated, St. Louis, Missouri. This says December 7th to May of 2012. But this here is wrong by 1 month, because I did check that, and that was in June of 2012. And it was 1 month prior to the Evansdale murders. Now, it doesn't go up till the time of 2017, but in the other one I read, it did state that he was an insurance agent after that. And it also worked at the Jewish Community Center. So, oh, okay. Well, let me get rid of this here. Now, this here is the vehicle that he had on his bankruptcy. Now, this is a 2012 Volkswagen Passat 4-wheel drive red, just like the one that he owned. Now, I don't know whether this is the one that he drove to Delphi or not, but this is a vehicle that they owned at that time. And it could be the vehicle that he drove there. I'm going to tell you Friday what vehicle he drove to Evansdale, and I'm sure that other people may have looked into that and have a pretty good idea. But this right here might be the one that he drove, but I can't swear that to you, because they did own a few vehicles, I think. His wife drove one, he drove one, they may have had another, kind of like that. Now, this is on his bankruptcy as well. These are the handguns that he owned. He owned an AR-15 Bushmaster rifle, a Glock 43 handgun. That's a Sig Sauer, not a 6-hour handgun. and he also had a 22. Let me back that up, and a 22 caliber handgun. So I know that one of those handguns right there is the same one that he killed Jamie Schmidt with down in St. Louis at the Catholic supply store, sexual assault and homicide. Smart Money says that it's the identical handgun that he was carrying in Evansdale and Delphi and had used. I'm not saying that he murdered the girls with it, but I'm not saying he didn't. I don't think anybody can really say how the girls died outside of law enforcement, but that's probably the one that he put them under duress with. You know, do what I say. Do what I say, you won't die, but if you don't, I'll kill you. I mean, that's kind of how a monster would phrase that, I would believe. Hey, what's going on here? That ain't letting me change the... Man, is that the last one? Really? Can't be. No, it is. Yeah, it is. Okay. So that wraps that up. That wraps up the what I have on him as far as the pictures and that go. So at this time, you can call in if you like. There's the phone number. If you have anything to bring up on this, and like I say, I'm running through because on Friday's video, it's going to have 4 parts to it. I mean, there's going to be 4 pictures on the screen that's showing everybody's point of view, from the suspect coming, to Cheyenne arriving, to flannel shirt guy behind him, to when they pass on the trail. And that should kind of sum up how I feel. Now, this is during the time, because we got all these times set and whereabouts they were. Cheyenne didn't see him, but Cheyenne was 10 minutes ahead of flannel shirt guy, who did walk past him. So we know there's that little 10-minute window where she's going by, where he comes out and starts up the trail. So that's going to be fantastic, and I hope you guys enjoy that. Now, that's going to be before my special guest arrives. Can't wait for that shit. Oh, hang on. I got to go back to comments. Yeah, definitely. If you got an unknown number, man, don't even bother. I'll just hang it up. You know, you get tired of the Cunningham's calling. Oh, really? No way. You know what? If that is fact, if it is. Okay. Now, I mean, mind you, it's rumor. I understand, you know, because I don't put anything into rumor. In fact, I kind of know rumor when I hear somebody saying a rumor. I'm like, man, that sounds a lot like a rumor to me, dude. Like, where did you hear this? You know, did it come from Facebook? Because if it did, I'm calling BS right now. Man, see? I don't know how they would have got a satellite picture of that devil, but if they did. Oh, did you call? Oh, last time. Yeah. Well, if you want to call in, man, give it a call. Yeah, I mean, that way I don't have to sit here and make stuff up. You know, I ain't got to just keep talking all the time. All right, I'm just going to sit here and keep talking then. All right, so, man, where do I go from here? Where do I go? You know what? Let me talk about my book. With 100 deductions, and I don't think that I missed a one, because like some of these right here are 1 line long, just number 3, just one right there. But others take up like a whole part of the page, and that's just like 17. I think that all of these deductions right here cover the entire base of the crimes, the suspect, of which I am calling by name in this, not as suspect, not as man, not as the person who did it, not he. He is always mentioned by full name. Because if anybody else was to try to do anything with that name, I could clearly show intellectual property from my videos and the time of which I did that. Just want that out there. But I am going to have this wrote into a book. And after it's a book, I don't really, it's not so much as like selling the book, but it's just saying that, hey, these were my deductions. Coming out with them after the fact, that's where a percent may be owed. I need a piece of that movie. There she is. You know what? I mean, does anybody have anything on the car? I mean, are people still here? Because when chat quits, then I got to start wondering. Oh, okay, great. No, man. No, they did not disregard their words. I don't even know where that could have been posted at their Devil Ants, because those were the two people that seen him that gave the whole thing for the sketch. Was those two people. Those are the only two people to see him. If they disregarded that, then they would say, well, we don't know, man. Because why would flannel shirt guy, man? He's an old guy. If he walked by him and he said, yeah, I walked by him, I mean, he wouldn't be lying. The lady that was walking her dog, she didn't even want to come forward. You know, she's like, I don't know this guy. This guy probably knows where I live at, and I don't want him to come and kill me. You see where I'm at? So I don't think that they disregarded their words any. And if that was put out there, it was probably on Facebook. Never believe Facebook. I don't even like to post shit on Facebook because I don't want it confused with other people's crap. All right. Well, you know what? I've been on an hour. It only seems like a couple of minutes, though, doesn't it? Like, time just flies by, you know, when I'm on there. It's like, man, last week I was on here for like 3 hours. Only seemed like a couple of minutes. How you doing, James? Mr. Brozek? I'm just going to keep talking. Okay. Hang on a minute. Let me pull this up. This is my email. So if you have any questions, you can write to me at that email 24/7. I won't answer it 24/7, but I will when I get up in the morning. And be careful of what you send to me overnight. Be very leery about what you send overnight. If it's middle of the day, it's cool. I can handle it. But man, if I get up and I haven't had enough caffeine, man, I can turn into a real dick. And I know that. And I apologize up front for some of the rude, that I've given people in comments and such. But it's who I am, man. I get up in the morning and I'm just tired, and but I realize that a lot of people out there do not know the crime. They do not understand what happened. I mean, they understand what happened, but they don't understand the facts and the circumstances, the evidence, and so forth. So they kind of roll that into a ball of what they found online. Because if you put this into Google, the one place you're going to go is Facebook, or YouTube, and you're following other people's opinions on this. And that's where it messes me up, because when I get something the same question that I got like pushing 3 years ago, it's like, man, would you just look into the case? For the love of God, watch a press conference. Don't ask me stupid questions. I'm not here for that. Yeah. Well, you know what? You should be very happy he blocked you. You should be very happy he blocked you. You don't want people like that on your side, devil. I'm talking to the devil here, but I don't think you want those people around you. They're a bad influence, devil. You don't want to be around them. Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I got a lot of good comments about our last conversation, which was good. Actually, though, I've talked to him a couple times. I mean, on the phone outside of the show, man. We have really good conversations. We really do, man. There's people out there that kind of follow this. And like I said, there's other people that don't. And I don't have anything against the people that don't know all the facts and circumstances. But it's just the way that they'll ask me, and it's mixed with like Facebook rumor. Well, I heard that and blah, blah. And I'm like, stop. Okay, right there. I already know this one. It's called Facebook. Don't fall for that crap. You know what? Yes. And I did look that up. I want you to know that. I certainly did look that up because I knew the name Devil Ants, and that's exactly where I heard it from. Watch the movie. Oddly enough, I watch a movie every here and again at somebody else's house if they're watching it, but you know, every now and again. All right. So anyway, if it was a red car and that people were saying were there, and I don't know why they would say that. I don't think anybody that was there that knew the color of the car, that would have been turned into law enforcement. You see where I'm at? Law enforcement would say, okay, man, we're probably looking for a red car. And they may have mentioned that if it was in or around the time right after the crime. But like I brought up to Sheriff Lesnby, you guys never mentioned a vehicle. Yeah, you're right. We never did. Well, I think that at that time, even at that time, because that wasn't too long after the commission of the murders, I don't think that they was really solid on the fact of if the guy had used a car, you know, because if people are like, yeah, there may have been a car there. I mean, I went by, there might have been, but I mean, they couldn't have really narrowed that down to say, yes, that was the suspect's vehicle. Yes, there was one parked there. Because really, like right now, you're looking 3 years after the fact. Anybody driving down that road 3 years ago would be like, oh, no, there's always a car parked there. You know, nobody would really think that much more on it. I don't really know if they impounded his vehicles. If he still had the vehicle that he had used in Delphi, they may have, or at least confiscated it to look it over for anything that related, fibers, so on like that. But I don't really know that they, confiscated the vehicle. If he still had that Passat, I think any vehicle that he may have used, because again, they didn't go in and question him on the murders or on the Delphi murders. But any question, like they would have asked his wife, well, what cars did you have at that time? Okay, well, we want to look them more, that sort of thing. Now, that may have happened. Hey, look, everybody. We have Michael Weaver here, who is related to Dennis Weaver. That's right, McLeod. And he may also be related to former heavyweight champion of the world, Michael Weaver, with the same name. He might be. It's possible. Are you? Are you related to Michael Weaver? If you are, let us know. Okay. Well, I'm running out of things to talk about, man. I'm running out of shit to say. So if nobody's calling in or nobody's got a question, I'm wrapping this up, man. I'm just out of here. Got to call it an eve because I will be back Friday and I should have that video premiered before I go live. Now on Friday, December the 13th, I will go live at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. Eastern time. Do not be late. Do not wait for a notification. Because if you're waiting for a notification from my channel, YouTube don't hand those out. They don't want you showing up, man. They don't want you listening to me. You see, I don't get on my knees and give love to the left wing. They don't like that. They believe everybody should be a good slave. I'm quite the opposite. I think everybody should be a good free person and tell the left to go eat a bag of them. So it is. You know what? True story. When I was looking back, man, at that December, you know what? I know that in the Delphi briefing, right after the Delphi briefing, when I made that live show, okay, Alaska Blue was here. Alaska Blue is in the comment section. And I'm like, hell yeah, man. Wow, she's been here a long time. You know, she's been like right there. Well, yeah, I'll give that to you. But provided that she knows. Well, she didn't know. I mean, she had no idea. She did not know that her husband was up to anything like that. You know what? From when I left, and I thought it was much further. I really did. When I left the crime scene area where that was committed at, and I walked back to the 501 trail, it took me 4.5 minutes. Walking time, 4.5 minutes. And I thought, man, it seemed like that would have been a lot longer back down and around like that. But I took the southern route, which I believe that he may have. Because here's what happened, man. If you go, like, I got to draw this out, okay? But say you're looking at where the crime scene is. Like, here's Deer Creek, and they cross and they get to the crime scene. Well, you have this piece of property with the cemetery being up here on County Road 300. You know, you can go up this way, up the horse trail, and cut back over to the 501, or you can go right here and go, you know, along the creek side right here, then go up a hill and hit the same area. Now, he could have taken either, and either way is the same distance walking time, because you got to go up this hill to go left, and this way you go up the hill, then cut left. Either way, you got to go up a hill and cut left. You see where I'm at? So anyway, when I got down there, and you will hear this in the video, it must have been at about noon when I was leaving the crime scene area, because when I clicked that on and I said go, and then I start to head out from the crime scene area, the Delphi alarm started going off. It was like, you know, and I thought, wow, man, it's like I'm breaking out of prison or some shit. But you could hear it, you know, on the video, man. You could hear that going off. I thought, man, that's really spooky. It'd go off right now, you know. But anyway, yeah, it wasn't that far back. Now, when I was walking back, okay, because when I was walking by where the deer stand is, I turned the camera left so you could see. And I marked that. I'm walking by the deer stand. And then I panned out left from where it was. But you see, when I was walking, I was always walking. I always 1 foot, next foot, next foot, next foot, never stopped. Got down there, hit the creek straight across. Got over there, stopped. Now, when I got out of that water, when I hit that other side, I thought my feet would never come back, man. It was ice cold. You can ask Scott Weaver or Michael Weaver. He gave me the ride. So when I stepped out of that water, man, I mean, it was like my feet were frozen solid. That water was cold as shit. Now, when I got out, after I got up there and I stopped the camera, you know, because then started walking around the crime scene area because it is pretty big. I made a small loop and then a much bigger loop back around it with the camera always pointing toward the inside middle. Now, after I did that and started it back up, then I got back to the 501 trail. You know, I got up when I passed the thing, then I scanned out across the 501 while constantly taking a step. And I panned back over to the left where you could see onto the bridge. Now, as I continued up toward the 501, there came that time when I could see where the 501 trail was. And I knew it was about in that location. And I said it. I said, this is about where he would have seen Cheyenne. If he did, here's about that location. So I kind of got that marked. Now, we will find out, but understand that we have approximate times of arrival for him. But we know that she took that photo at the south side at 2:49 that day. Cheyenne did. But the thing is that when I was walking, when I hit that bridge, I kept going. Well, a person that's like walking to the bridge to take photos, that's just there lollygagging. You know, they're hiking. That, you know, they got to the bridge to like hang out, do stuff. They're not going to constantly be walking on across. So she would have got to that spot where she took the photo later than I did. You see where I'm at? She didn't like go down there and just directly walk, hit that bridge straight across, and then take that photo. So I know that her time once she hit that bridge slowed down from mine. Okay, because at that point she wasn't crossing the bridge the same way I was. You see, she may not have crossed it that many times. It may have been a slower process. She was talking to her friend. They were looking around, taking pictures. But she stated that I didn't see or hear anything. Well, if you look at the picture that Libby took of Abby, and you look back behind him on that hill to the right, you could clearly see that if anybody was walking through there, you could see them. You know, they would not have been hidden. You know, you had crunching leaves that were underfoot. So I kind of take it to the fact that he was already up there, seen her walking, kind of got behind a tree, let her pass at a comfortable distance before heading back up to the 501 and leaving, because it was the same time. It was the same exact time as she would have been walking through that area. Now, after he hit that 501, that's when he crossed flannel shirt guy. But I mean, I have all that in there, but you got to understand that each side en route to the bridge is a 2-minute delay because we don't know their walk time. Flannel shirt guy is going to walk slower than me. Okay. I mean, I've seen him walk. He walks a little slower than me. But what I did was I got general walking time. Now, she may not walk as fast as me, but I wasn't making it a foot race. I wasn't like, you know, like that. I was just walking. That's it. Man, the camera, man. I mean, like I had it held like this to my front, and still it's like you don't see the ground. And I thought, man, I should have had it panned down a little bit, you know. But you can see it from like an eye point of view as to where I'm walking, the trail to the front. You can see everything. So, man, you should know it by heart, bro. That's the phone number. Oh, thank you. Alaska Blue, man. Right there. On hand every time. I like that. It means stuff, Alaska Blue. And Harley. And man, see, I need to go look through the list. Is it Nancy? I think it's Nancy. Been verified. So I'm waiting on Devil Anse to call. You know, maybe he's got stuff to say. Take a little heat off my shoulders here. You know, speaking of which, man, I should show you guys the book I'm reading. It's called What Everybody's Saying. It was wrote by man, what is his name? Yes, Joe Navarro, FBI agent. Talking about nonverbal communication, like, you know, how your body signifies how you feel. Yeah, great book, man. If you ever want to know what somebody's thinking, man, by looking at their bodies, you know, how their body reacts, that's the one. That is a good book. Check into it, man. It's called What Everybody Is Saying. Outstanding book. No, somebody asked me about that. About Adrienne Quattel. She's still missing. And after this Friday, I'm going to do another video on that because that case kind of blows my mind. I don't know what could have happened. I mean, it looks like a setup to me, but if it's a setup, well, why would you set it up to look like this? That looks stupid to set it up like that. But it wasn't an abduction. It has to be a setup. And if it is a setup, her boyfriend is definitely in the know. That's why he went back and had the rock solid alibi. That's why law enforcement's saying, like, yeah, he's a person of interest. Because they know that at the time that, you know, this abduction happened, that wouldn't have been at a proper time for him to leave his house at 10 p.m., get up there, pick her up, and drive back out there without being missed the next morning. Yeah. That's what makes it look fishy to me as well. Oh, well, you know, I myself, I don't really care for my live streams. I just get on here and talk. I mean, I think as far as like any, yeah, don't take me wrong. I mean, there's information in the live ones that I'm giving, but it's just more few and far between. If I make a video, it's about the information that I have, and there it is. When I'm on here, then it kind of deviates into separate areas and, you know, this and that, which, you know, I did record all of my lives because I did want that stuff in it. You know, I wanted to like backtrack and say, well, I made mention of it right here, you know, but I got everything like on my PC. I got access to my old video on my older channel. I got access to those videos. But downloading all those, man, that's like 736 videos, man. That will take the bigger part of like 2 months to download because some of those were very lengthy. So I will get like those back in due time. So hang tight. Hello? Who's this? I thought it was. All right, how you doing? You live show? You cool? All right, you're on live. It's Devil Ants, everybody. Round of applause. Go. Okay.
Yeah, my comment earlier about the guy that was posting about flannel shirt guy and the dog walking lady. I was skimming through some comments on a post, and I kind of got in a little bit of an argument with the guy because I called BS on it, and next thing you know, I'm not able to post at all. Even he must have had something to do with the channel.
Yeah.
And they blocked me completely from posting anywhere on that channel. But they had some really off the wall theories, Mike. And I was at first I was just bored of the night, skimming through, just looking for something to do. And I was like, wow, these guys are out there. But I had a question, Mike, that I started to shoot you an email on it. I know it sounds a little far-fetched, but I was listening to a guy from another channel. Guy's got a channel called Dogman Encounters. Now, don't look at me like I'm silly. It's just something to do when you're bored at night. But he had this guest on there that was talking about these kids being mutilated. And, we're talking about little kids, anywhere between 5 and 15-year-old.
Yeah.
They were being mutilated in their own yards, and their clothes was being ripped off and yada, yada, yada.
Jeez.
And this guy's theory was that it was, dogs or dogmen or whatever. And, me being realistic, I started looking into it and looking at an alternative theory on it. And some of the towns were Navy towns. And that's what put me to thinking that if someone could get a FOIA request on TB's military background and what towns he served in, there may be a trail of children behind this guy that just would be unbelievable.
You know what? Yeah, if you could send me a link to that, I mean, I would be interested in kind of checking into it because I do have his residences going all the way back to when he joined the Navy.
Okay.
But
tonight, and it piqued my curiosity because some of these deaths were a while back, but not that long ago, if you know what I mean.
Okay. Well, I think he got out of the Navy, and you know what? I can't specifically say because I think that when he got out of the Navy, he still spent his time in Escondido, California for a while before moving to St. Louis.
Now, was he stationed anywhere on the East Coast, if you know?
Not that I'm aware of. I haven't seen that. But then again, I mean, like, you know what? Where they pull into port, I mean, they could be anywhere. You see what I mean? Yeah, I mean, anywhere.
Well, I was thinking that they also had in the Navy, they had to do some training in the Maryland area and also in the Great Lakes area.
Yeah, right.
And if I'm not mistaken, some of these the guy was discussing the other night when I was listening to this was in both those areas. So it wouldn't be a far-fetched idea to even think it. That maybe he's been doing this for quite a long time.
You know what? Actually, I think that the last deduction in this right here. Let me kind of look at this. Right here, it said Thomas Bruce must have more unknown victims than what we know of. And I would venture to say that what I actually know of may not be the full amount of the overall true victims this man has had over the years. Because I think that I can look at Evansdale, I can look at Delphi, I can look at Mary Pryor. I can look at all these women, the 77-year-old, the 53-year-old. All of these women kind of had one thing in common. They, how do I put it? I don't want to say weak. They were innocent. And in some cases, weak. They were all female. It was somebody easy that he could push around. I'll put it to you like that. That he could tell what to do. That he could be overbearing and brutal to. And I think that might be like an underlying. He's looking for someone. Like an old person, because it struck me as well. Well, why would there be little girls and old women? Certainly, a guy would have his preference, unless rather he's looking for anybody that he could push around. And I forget who had reached me about like him being mean to animals when he was little. But right there, man, that really plays into this, because anything that is helpless, he would attack brutally. You see where I'm at?
Do you think he's spur of the moment, or that he studies this out?
You know what? Now, in some cases, well, I'll put it to you like this. If I look at Delphi, he didn't really study that out because he wasn't around. But he did know that trail was there. It wasn't hiked a lot. It wasn't secure. And he waited. He waited like 3 hours pretty much until someone arrived. So I don't think that he studied every one of them out. In fact, when he knocked on that lady's door, man, he just seen the opportunity, barged in. Catholic supply store. There's 3 women here. I can lock the door. Let me go get the gun. Mary Pryor, here's an old lady. She couldn't defend herself. She had to. Let me brutalize. In every case, it's a person that he could just go about brutalizing without fear of them doing anything to him. You see where I'm at?
Yes. True predator. He saw the opportunity, then he took it.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I hope he gets the chair, either way on the deal, because if there's anyone that ever deserved it, it's him.
Yeah, I agree. I think that anybody that's got a mindset like that, man, you don't throw them into population. Shit, they'll get along in population. Like they don't really dig the child killer like that. But what I'm saying is, it ain't like prison doing life behind, bars without parole is going to be anything painful to him. But if you tell him he's getting the chair, the needle, or this or that, yeah, that's going to put that fear into him. He's going to know that day's coming,
Well, do you know if he has any relatives over in the Evansville area?
I don't. In fact, I've given a great deal of thought to that, because in Evansdale, he could have been traveling north. Okay, that could have been like a stopping point, and the rest just occurred there because he had been drinking. He seen opportunity. There it was, right? Now, in Delphi being on the reverse date, I kind of look at that maybe not different, but sort of different, because on that day, he knew that it was the reverse date. He knew he was going to leave. He knew where he was going to go. He knew where he was going to wait at. You see where I'm at? But I don't think that he made that connection in Evansdale, because those girls were already there. They were already hiking. He seen the bikes parked there, and he headed off. Now, whether he was looking for the 2 girls that was on the bikes or not, maybe, I don't really know. But he did find them, and he did abduct them because their bikes were still there. But their bikes were there when he arrived.
Well, I pulled it up on my phone and on the computer, the routes that you've broken down is. And the fact that, he's killed in pairs, with the girls in Delphi and the girls over in Evansville.
Right.
And I'm trying to, my research trying to see if in those routes, if there's any unsolved, children or adults for that matter, that's in pairs that could be in his route, to and from, that maybe the media hasn't picked up on, or the police haven't, really put it out there that they're checking out. Because you never know.
Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you really do not. And I think that the one thing that tips me off when I see a crime, and it's like what you was talking about this dog guy, all right? When you see someone who can't defend themselves and they're brutalized, like horrifically brutalized, that's almost his calling card. I mean, that is how he handles that. And when you see that upon somebody who's defenseless, it's like, where was he at that time? You see, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Somewhere in this guy's past, he's developed a real hatred for females.
You know what? I thought about that. Because most of the time when you run into someone who is like angry and malicious at people that can't defend themselves, usually it goes back to their childhood, where they was like raped or molested or something along that line, where they had no defense. And I think that it becomes like part of their pubescent growth. It's something that they kind of grow into. This is how it's done. You see what I mean? And they always had that in the back of their head, that they know it's wrong, but then it becomes like a part of them that they want to do the same. And I think that it could lean toward like a matriarchal mother, an abusive father, maybe a family member that raped him. It would have been somebody that was close to him. It wouldn't have been a stranger. You see where I'm at? Now, it could have been a stranger. But, but at that time, I think that person would have been arrested. It wouldn't have been in his mind, in other words, at that time when that had occurred to him, if it did. But, it was probably a close family member, something that happened when he was young, maybe through those adolescent, like puberty years, maybe right beforehand.
The information was available, and someone, it wasn't, locked into his juvenile records or whatever. If a man could get it in the FOIA request, maybe see if he was abused as a child, or if other anything, or anything related to that fact that could point to where the starting point was. Because you never know. He could have been out here, like you said, the other guy was saying, he could have been, mutilating animals.
Yeah.
We don't know.
It is what a lot of people that are like this kind of start with. I mean, they have animals, man, and animals take the place of what they would like to do to people. If you look up like criminal behavior and you look at like serial killers, like when they were young, a lot of them have kind of a thing toward animals where they will like mistreat animals, abuse animals, kill animals, and like keep parts of the animals. Kind of like in the same way that when they grow up, they would do to humans. They kind of like take that on toward animals when they're younger. Now, somebody had wrote and asked me about that. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? Did he, I forget how they phrased it. I'm like, well, what do you mean? Did he like zoo animals or something? And they're like, no, did he like it? I'm like, oh, yeah, right. I see it. And I'm like, you know what? Smart money says, man, he may have. But at the same time, if you look at Jeffrey Dahmer, he did that. He collected roadkill. There was another guy who had raped this like 15-year-old girl, and he did the same thing, man. He would like kill dogs and then cut their heads off, but he would keep the skulls in this like big cooler. He had like 30 some skulls of dogs in a cooler, and I thought, man, what a bastard. I thought, man, you know what? It's go ahead.
Go ahead. Sorry.
Go.
It's not only that. I mean, like I said, in his juvenile record, it could have been, if we had access, it could be, it could have been a Norman Bates like deal. Mama could have been doing something with him. It could have been a creepy uncle. Anything that could have been something that triggered this guy on the path that he's on, and what he's done. And what I guess what I'm trying to say is if someone had access to that stuff, maybe they could go back and trace and see. Maybe there's unsolved crimes that this guy could have been as a teenager, or a young adult that we don't know about and authorities don't know about, that they could link him to.
Right. Yeah. And again, I got 5. I got 5 deaths that I can say, you know what? It's probably him right there on those 5 murders. Now, 6 would be Susan Collins in Tennessee. And if he was in the area, I would put him as primary suspect on that one. But I'm going to say out of those 5, possibly 6, I'm scratching the surface because I'm only looking at what I'm looking at. And I'm positive that those 6 are not his only commission of those crimes. You see where I'm at? It could be scratching the surface. It could be 1 or 2 more. It could be a whole lot more. This guy could have have a huge claim, on many lives over the years. And I thought about that if he really did kill and brutalize Susan Collins and a man died for that, what kind of a heartless fuck are you?
Yeah,
what
exactly.
kind of a piece of crap are you to let a man die for something that you did? And I think it's a separation. It's like a multi-personality disorder. He's got this good side that everybody knows, but then he's got this flip side. Over here, he's more godly. Over here, he's satanic. Over here, he's really good to his friends. Over here, he commits ritual sacrificial suicide, maybe even vampiric. There's a total flip personality on him. And I think that's what we're looking at. I really do.
Just like I pointed out about the Eugene Bisfontaine murder down in Louisiana.
Uh-huh.
Him in Missouri, Mike, he could have been down in that area and, could be responsible for that.
Yeah.
We don't know. It's starting to sound like he had an MO that he preyed on weak women and females.
Yeah.
Good God. Once you start thinking about it, man alive. It can be worse than Bundy.
Yeah. Well, and I've stated that. I think that when it all comes out, when it all comes forward, everything that this man has did, I think he's going to be the Midwest answer to Ted Bundy. I really do. And I think that it's even, maybe even worse than Bundy in his actions. My God, man. I haven't touched the full upon that Mary Pryor, but yeah, it's brutal that anybody would do something like that to an 88-year-old lady. It's like, why? For what reason would anybody do something like that? There's no underlying purpose except I'm going to be brutal. I'm going to do this.
Exactly. Because it would take a sick individual, to prey on an elderly person like that. Jesus, man alive. I just can't imagine it. I couldn't fathom it.
Yeah.
But I'd say right now, if he's sitting in that cell, I'd say all these things run through his mind right now. That the cops are right now putting everything together, and they're going to get him, and he's going to be prosecuted for every crime that they can link him to. And I hope that the church can't come soon enough.
Yeah. No, and I'm with you. I think that he went state to state to state. And if I'm looking at it, you got Iowa, you got Missouri, which he's in jail for. You have Indiana, you have Michigan, possibly Tennessee. But were all of them done right here? There was a lot of years where he was in the Navy. There isn't more. You see where I'm at? There is more. And there's more that we don't know about because we haven't seen the evidence. If I could look at all the evidence, I could probably say this might fit. They may not be his, but I could definitely narrow it down by the actions that he committed that, this is his MO. This is how he operates. But I think it goes as deep as it does wide.
Well, we was talking about the possibilities of them making this a federal deal. I saw where the president was trying to get it pushed to reinstate the death penalty through the federal prison system, and if they get that enacted again, and they charge us as federal crimes, like state to state.
Yeah.
Man, they'll expressway his butt to the chair.
Yeah.
Like Texas. They got an express lane in Texas, for the death penalty. So
they will, and it was like, well, she's going to be my guest Friday, but she had mentioned that the feds are the first to say we're giving you death. But I don't know that any of these crimes were federal, because I don't think that the crime itself crossed state lines. He didn't abduct and take him across state lines. He didn't abduct him in one area, kidnapping, and then kill him in a different state. And that might bypass the federal government, but the feds definitely investigated, into Evansdale and to Delphi. But I think that that's for reasons of investigation. But if it is federal, they'd be the one. Now, when I looked up the federal crimes, like if it was one of them was a federal crime, well, they can convict you federally, but they can still allow the state to carry on with their own prosecution. You see where I'm at? So it doesn't have to be solely a federal crime, even if it is federal. Like, say, for whatever reason, they call Delphi to be a federal crime. Well, the state of Indiana would still pick that up and prosecute. You see where I'm at?
Well, the only thing that worries me on this whole deal is, Mike, is if they make some kind of deal with him, they give him like life in prison if he allocutes, and then all the states agree, so they can, end up solving the crimes. On one hand, I could say it makes sense, but on the other, this guy needs to pay for the lives that he's taken. I know it won't bring back those folks that he's, ended their lives, so young or so old, whatever. It won't bring those folks back, but he still needs to pay for his crimes.
In Evansdale, the only thing that they're going to have on him in that is his admission, which he'll probably freely give. Yes, I did that, because they're not a death penalty state. He can ride on that. So I think that he would clearly say, yes, I did do that. But I think he's going to do that in the same manner that he's going to admit to Delphi. But I think that he's going to walk in, because in Delphi, they got him. They got him by both sides. Because, man, look, man, we got you on video. We got your audio. We got two people that seen you there, pal. We got your DNA and fingerprints. We know you did it. There ain't no way out. Now, we're a death penalty state. And if they bypass the death penalty, rather than taking him to court, which I feel is what they would likely do, I will be pissed. I will be very pissed, because this is the one right here at Delphi where we can hand it to him and say, dude, you're getting the needle. Guess what? We don't give a shit. You're getting the needle. There it is.
Put him down like the dogs he probably maimed when he was young.
Yeah. And that's what I want. I want the guy to pay. I mean, and again, it's like we've discussed. You can't take back what he's done. There is not doing that. But the thing is people want to know that he had that fear, that he had to face it in his own self, man. Because that's how you treat somebody that treats others like that, man. They can't slide. The minute you start taking the death penalty away, those people that are out there thinking about becoming a serial killer, then they're like, I'm going to be a serial killer. I ain't even got to worry about paying the price. Yeah, I'm just going to go kill people. Yay. Because that's the kind of POSs that they are, man. We don't want those people being bred to begin with, but we damn sure don't want those out there that have it in their mind to then go out and do.
It's like you was talking about, they got the video and the audio. Mike, they probably got the audio of the whole incident on that girl's phone.
You know what? Yeah, go ahead.
If they've got that, there's no denying it. There's no pleading innocent or whatever. They've got him crucified on it.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I agree.
ever be released to the public. You know, they may play it in the court setting if it ever comes to that, but I don't think I'd want to listen to it myself.
Right? No.
You know, but you got to give that girl credit for having the wherewithal to do what she done. You know, a lot of people wouldn't, and that spur of the moment wouldn't have had the forethought to do something like that. So you got to give the kid credit, even though she was done in. God bless her heart.
You know what? That takes me back to the reason why. I mean, when the guy was there at that point, and he's some yards away from him at that point, where she catches his video right there, she already knew that the guy was a threat. She knew the guy was coming for a bad reason. Now, I don't think that it's just that she's seen a guy walking toward her and put it on. I don't think it was like that at all. I think that there were some words passed, from him to them, and they're both like, oh, wow, hey, this guy's really out there, man. And they was probably in fear of their lives at that point. And people say, well, why didn't they call 911? Well, here's this guy, man. Now he's coming at you. You only have that. They could have dialed 911. I guess. But, I'm sure that they probably didn't think at that time that this guy's coming to kill us. It was more that, hey, this is a bad dude and he's going to say something. We want to get this on there for law enforcement or our parents or somebody to hear so that they can find this guy. I think that was more of what it amounted to at that moment in their mind, because if they really thought that he was coming back to kill him, they would have ran.
Well, it brings up another question. Like I was at the pictures of the one on the bridge, the girl's got her hair up, that picture looks like it's being cropped.
It has.
Do you think that he was in that pic?
No. No, he wasn't in that picture, because if he was in that picture, that would have put him to the north side and he would have been back on Maxwell's property.
Okay.
You see where I'm at?
Yeah.
Now, I will say this. When I was watching the video of him walking on the bridge, that step and a half, there was one little bitty, as I scan, photo to the next bit photo to the next photo. There's one photo where it pops out that big, where it's just blacked out completely. Blacked out. And I thought, okay, that wasn't done by pixels. The feds blocked that. And there was a reason. And I think that maybe one of the girls were right there, where it's just her face came into that little side right there from where the phone was. And I think that that's why they blocked that out, maybe. That's somebody calling.
Well, do you need me to sign off and you talk to them, or just continue?
It's a 765. Oh, it's Ryan Kelly. It's a friend of mine.
Do you need to take the call?
No, it's fine. He lives right down the way from me.
Okay, you don't think there's an emergency or anything, do you?
No.
I wouldn't know. I'm just asking.
No, we don't have emergencies where I live.
Okay, cool.
We don't get them out this way. We stop them coming up the drive,
There you go. But the video, when they're showing the steps, and then I saw the video where you guys done. Now I'm trying to get this in my mind's eye. Now when they had to take the video of him walking, and you guys went down the hill by the edge of the trestle.
Yeah.
Now, is that the direction that they came to come on out, and he's ordered them on down the hill right there beside the trestle and down to the creek? That's the direction they went. Am I right?
Yes. Now, it wasn't down to the creek. And you know what? This Friday, when I put that video up before I go live, catch that. Because I go down right there. Okay. And I follow the exact path that they did from what we understand. You go down the side right there at the bridge, and that takes you down to that private drive. Now, when you're on that private drive, because the railroad bridge is over the water by 70 feet, okay? So you got 70 feet of hill going down. So when it hits that private drive, and you just go down only 20 feet, but there's a 50-foot, you know, where it goes down 50 feet, where you continue downhill till you reach that bottom where the creek's at. Now, when you hit that, then it picks up a car path that goes under the bridge. It's just where people can come in and park down there with their fishing. And that goes all the way up to the Deer Creek. And then that's where they cross, because right on the other side of that's where the bodies were found. Now, I followed that all the way down, hit that car path, took it down to the Deer Creek, and then crossed right to where the crime scene was. So, I mean, that will kind of show you exactly how that path lies, like when you watch it.
Well, the reason I asked that was, Mike, is that, you know, they had that video and everything. Couldn't they have went in there and got a plaster cast of his footprints?
Absolutely.
You know, and know what brand of tennis shoe or boot or whatever he was wearing?
Positively.
You know, did you know if they was able to do that?
They wouldn't tell us. They wouldn't. They wouldn't tell us that. But I'm positive that the FBI, CSI got all of that when they showed up after the girls were found. They went over that crime scene, and believe me, in that area, it's in the trees. You're in dirt. You couldn't walk out of there without leaving a shoe track. You see where I'm at?
Well, they got this guy. He's dead to rights.
Oh, he is. But like I say, I knew it. That I can say in Delphi. They got him. They got him big time. So I don't know why they would back out and say, well, if you just confess, we'll just let you go down there and do life without parole. Well, no. The people of Delphi demand different. So do the people in Evansdale. But see, Evansdale can't get the death. Iowa isn't a death penalty state, but Indiana is. So this is the state right here where we can make that stand. No, we're going for death. This guy's going to pay the price, because you don't come to Delphi and do that. This guy did. Now, if we said, oh, just go off and enjoy your life in Missouri. No, God, no. No, I would hold no respect for that prosecutor. He would be letting the citizens of Carroll County down by doing that.
Well, you know, at the end of the day, you know, it's like we was talking before. You know, what the family, you know, could go in and we don't know what kind of deal they've got worked out with the prosecutors or what. You know, they could be going in there and saying, look, we want this guy to allocute, then we'd be willing to wait. We don't know. Me, myself, I don't think they would feel that way. I think they'd want, you know, all the way this guy to be done, you know, strapped in and the needle put to him.
Yeah.
I mean, is there any news? I mean, is Mike Patty, I think that's his name, has he been saying anything lately, or has everybody just been mum?
I don't really keep up with the family. It's just that they don't look. They were hurt by it, man, and I mean, I certainly understand where their pain comes from. But hold on, one quick second, very quick. Like, man, I need to find where I did that. Oh, there it is. Okay. Because, I mean, they got a lot of pain, and a lot of people interview them, and a lot of people get questions from them and this and that. But as far as what I'm looking into, they can't really answer to that. And I know they can't. So if they was saying anything, there's the one statement that I hold that Mike Patty said is when he said on Dr. Phil said there was a man that seen this man here, and they had a picture of a bridge guy, seen him when he was leaving. Is that correct? And he said, yes. There was a man that arrived that seen him when he was walking out. Now, I know that that's flannel shirt guy, and I know the time that he arrived. So with that, I can conclude, yes, that's flannel shirt guy. But knowing the time he arrived and using general walking time to the bridge, which I got from that area, now I can conclude about when, because I can narrow that down to say, if he's walking out, the suspect, if he's walking out and he's spotted within this area, and I got a 2-minute time frame on that from here to here, walk time, you know, because this guy walks slower than I do. This guy was probably walking faster than I do. But it puts it at a general location of so far on that trail that they would have crossed paths. Now, I know that that was after Cheyenne had walked by because she didn't see or hear him. And there's that 10-minute window. So I can say, well, if they was abducted at this time and then general walk time over and across the creek, I may have gotten there a little faster than what they did. May have gotten there a little slower. It depends on how fast he was trying to push them along, but I'm certain he didn't make them run. You know where I'm at? So it gives me a time of 18 to 22 minutes crime time. So I can say from that time, and now that isn't even taken into effect if he held his position for a minute or two to let Cheyenne get at a comfortable distance down the 501 toward the bridge. Now, so, you know, and that's that added 2 minutes. But from that time, I can leave that crime scene. She's passing at that time, but yet I still cross paths with Flouser guy as he's walking in at the time that he did. And, you know, you'll see where those paths cross. And then I can show you on the map, this is where they crossed that. But given 2 minutes, this way to that, 1 minute back, 1 minute forward, I know it would be within this section of that trail. But all of it will be there. You'll be seeing it from everybody's angle.
Well, it just amazes me, you know, on two fronts here. One, how there's folks up there walking. You know, we know of two people, you know, flannel shirt guy and the dog walking lady. How, you know, these two teenage girls, one of them's bound to make some sound. How no one heard them. And number two, you know, I saw a comment in the comments a while ago. Someone was saying that Cheyenne had mentioned she had seen a red car or thought she saw a red car. And I think I saw that somewhere else. If the red car was there where she parked, wouldn't they, you know, if that's the way he came out, wouldn't that been, you know, someone else would have seen him?
Well, here's the thing. I mean, are you talking about Cheyenne?
Yeah, they said in your comments a while ago, a guy said Cheyenne mentioned she saw a red car parked there when she came in.
Okay, because law enforcement said that there was a car parked at the abandoned CPS building on 300 right there.
Okay, so that could have been the same car. Okay.
Now the thing is that if you're walking across Freedom Bridge, which she would have had to, you could clearly see that car to your left right there, right at the CPS building.
Okay.
You see, because you're elevated and you can see straight over to it. It'd be no different than back behind you where you parked at.
All right.
But yeah, he didn't park at the main, because if he had parked at the main parking area, not only would have Cheyenne seen his car, but so would Flouser guy. He parked in the same area. And if they had a make and model of that with the Missouri license plate, they would have had that guy real quick. I think that he backed in to that CPS area. That way nobody traveling 300 could see his license plate.
So there's a good chance that he was hiding off the trail somewhere and she's walking right beside him.
Who?
I'm talking about
Cheyenne?
Yes.
Well, no, I think he was coming back to the 501 from the crime scene, and he seen her walking the 501 because he was very leery about anybody coming down that 501. He didn't want to be seen coming out of there. So if he seen her walking that way toward the 501, he could have held behind a tree until she got up to the toward the bridge and then got on out without being seen or heard. Now, that's what I'm speculating. I can't prove that, but I think it's fair to say, because the Flouser guy that's 10 minutes behind her walk time, he's seen him. She didn't. Well, we know where he came from. You see what I mean? So she would have had to pass that area before he came out.
Well, she's lucky he didn't grab her too.
No, I don't think that was on his mind at all. He wasn't there just to kill anybody. Now, if her and her friend showed up, you know, before the two girls did, her and her friend likely would have died.
Wow. But
he already got those two. The commission of that crime was already done. You know, he wanted to get the F out, man.
Well, Mac, when you walked the trail, you went down beside the trestle and down to the area where the girls was found.
Yeah.
Did you time that walk?
Yeah, absolutely.
So
no, when I put it in the video editor, it gives me the full time, because I started from the car and I walked all the way down. I started at the car right where he parked. I got out. Now that time would be at the time when he got there. Okay. And then I walked the same path that he did up toward Freedom Bridge, hit the trail, walked that all the way down to Monon High Bridge, walked across Monon High Bridge, then followed their path down, the same path that they took, and then over and then back. Now, when I take that to, because I had to compare that with what I knew from Cheyenne, the time that she arrived to the time that she took that picture. I know that Flannel Shirt guy arrived 10 minutes after she did. So then I put that in. He walks in 10 minutes after her. So I applied that to the third one. Now, the way that I have that set up, from the way that I have looked at it, because I know that the time that the girls got there, where she took Abby's picture, when they started walking south, they would have walked a little bit slower than me. And it depends on whether he came from the north side, which would have made the commission of the crime a couple minutes later than what it was. But if he came from the south side, which I assumed that he did, that he was on the south side and he was waiting. He was waiting for this, his someone that he wanted to be the victim to arrive, to walk to that south side. Now, when those two girls walked to the south side, he came out. I think that he said something very derogatory to him. And I think he walked up far enough to where he could look down and make sure that nobody was at the end of the 505 trail, right down there where they could see him walking them down. Once he seen that, he turned right back around. When he turned back around, that's when she clicked it on video record, because it was that fast. He walked by him saying some, weird, creepy stuff. And then went up there to look. When he seen nobody was there, he turned right back around and headed toward him. That's when she clicked it on video record. That's what caught it all. Because if he had said something to him up front when they walked in on the north side, and then, oh, here comes that creepy guy, man, that's going to, now that might be enough to click it on. But I think that the whole of that, because then they see that guy coming for a long distance. Well, if you're two young girls and you got some creepy guy coming across the bridge and you got 6 minutes to get the hell out of Dodge, you're going to leave, correct?
Yeah.
Now, if he comes from the south side and is saying something and then turns right back around after seeing that nobody's at the end of the 505 and comes back toward him, now there's an issue. We know this guy has a gun. They seen it. The guy said these things to him. They know that this guy is a real creep, man. He's out for no good. And they wanted to get that on audio, but also caught his full frontal here, and walking. And yeah, that was because that was some damn good thinking on her behalf. The public wouldn't know much about this if it wasn't for her doing that, because that really helped us in a big way.
It brings up a question that I was wanting to ask you before. Do you think there was an element of planning here, because the Logan guy wasn't home and there wasn't anyone over at the graveyard when this went down? Do you think that was an element of planning, or do you think that was just a coincidence?
Happenstance.
Okay.
Because here's why. It seems likely. I mean, it does. Like, say as an example, if he was a local person, I think that he would have chose the back of the graveyard because of where he knew it was going to happen at. But this guy went there with, okay, I'm going to the south side of that bridge and I'm going to wait for someone to show up. I think he was back there for probably 2.5 hours waiting, for those people to show up. There may have been other people that walked down to that bridge and left that he seen that didn't fit his idea of what a good victim would be. But he waited. And then the two girls showed up. Now, he had already scouted that south side. He'd went down, looked around, made sure there wasn't nobody down there camping, fishing, any unknown people. He looked it over and seen where the lowest creek was, where that they could most easily cross. And that's what put him underneath that cemetery, was that. Now, if he knew that up front, if he was a local and he said, hey, I'm going to take him over to here, then he could have parked there. But not being from there, but knowing the position where he wanted to abduct him and take him across, that's what made it different. That's why he parked up at the abandoned CPS building, because he isn't local to there. He knew the trail, but he didn't really know about that cemetery being there. He knew I go to the south side and I can take him across over to the other side, but that's where it ended. You know, I don't think that the cemetery played in at all. Even out the go when everybody was hopping on that. I mean, I didn't find it likely. I thought, man, if he was parked at the cemetery, I don't know. It didn't set well because look, man, look, for 3 hours his car was there. Nobody's seen it. People be like, well, yeah, but you could drive by and not see that. Yeah, but for 3 hours?
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's like saying nobody was there or around there or could have been, you know, that's highly unlikely. And if you was going to do something like that, you wouldn't park your car right in an area where anybody seeing it would remember it being there. You know, but if you parked up toward the main parking area, just like I'm just going to go for a quick hike, nobody would think anything of that. You see what I mean?
Yeah. Then that brings up another question, Mike. You know, he knew the area somewhat. Could he have been camping there for like a couple of days? And, you know, and studied the area, laid it out or whatever? Or could this just been a spur of the moment, one day in and out thing?
No, I think that it was. And you know what? At first, when I seen the way that he was dressed, because it was a nice day. And when I say it was warm, for February the 13th, it was very warm. You know, this wasn't like no cold day. This was a day, man, that was pretty beautiful, man. You know, you go hike in February. So with him having like a hoodie and a coat and having all those clothes bundled up on him, man, I thought, well, you know what? It kind of showed to me that he probably started early in the morning. And it gave me the thought that, hey, man, maybe this guy camped there. You know, he could have camped overnight. You see where I'm at? He could have been, you know, like that. But the thing is I think that what it amounted to was that he hit the trail earlier when it was cooler. But of course, it got warmer as the day progressed. He didn't really have an area to go change his clothes because he was on the south side waiting a victim, and he didn't want to seen by fellow hikers. So he was trying to stay out of sight, out of mind. And I think that that's what it amounted to.
You know, when I first caught on to this case, and before I found your channel, and I saw the video and the pics and everything like that, my first inclination was these guys that do that van living, that travel across the country, you know, and that live out of their van.
Yeah,
I was thinking one of those characters until I found your channel and was able to find out about TB and everything like that. But that going down that path, it wasn't a bad idea of thinking. If TB wasn't in the area, the whole mess, one would think it could be that person. But now that everyone's come across this guy down in St. Louis, then that pretty much makes sense. What he did, it's him.
Yeah. Well, that's where my brain is on it. And, I mean, I've said it a few hundred times, I'm sure, over the last year, that I would change my opinion on it being Thomas Bruce if somebody showed me someone that fit it better. But anything that somebody shows me, I mean, I can look at it and go, yep, nope, because it don't fit. I mean, look, if a person had committed a crime and had been arrested before February 13th of 2017, it isn't them. Yeah, I mean, because we know that. We know this guy had never committed a crime. Well, if you look at people living out of a van, chances are that they have committed a crime going back in their life at some point and been arrested. You don't have that many. I'm positive, man, that there are people living out of their van that are great people, man. And hell, man, the van life would be my kind of life. I'd love to be on the travel full time. Hey, man, I'm spending the night here tonight. It would always be waking up in a different area, man. I love that. I'm a Sagittarius. It's who I am,
Yeah.
But, just like a traveling transient killer like that, at first, man, I certainly was under like the conception that it could be somebody that may have been homeless or was somewhat homeless that had camped there overnight, because his clothes didn't look like he was homeless. He didn't look homeless in those photos. And somebody pointed that out. It's like, well, his clothes look rather like new. And I'm like, well, I'm not saying that the guy was like living homeless, but it just seemed like, he may have went there and camped. Now, it was I don't know, it wasn't that many days after the commission of the crime there, that, man, there was like a police helicopter and it was going real slow right over the Wildcat, just like right over the Wildcat, right here where I live at, and followed that all the way to Lafayette. Now, they did that with all the creeks and rivers locally, and I think that they had the same thought that I did, that the guy had camped or been camping, because they didn't know at that time that he had a car. Nobody came forward and said, well, there was a car here. And even if somebody did, well, man, it could have been anybody, any number of people that was hiking. You see where I'm at? I think it took them a while to narrow it down to say, yeah, he was in a car. We don't know the make or model, but we know that he was parked here. But now they came out with that after I had said, no, he drove. He definitely drove, because here's the route. And I'm telling you, it's this guy at that point.
Now, he was in the Navy before the military started storing our DNA.
You know what? Yeah, but see, I didn't even know that they did that. And even if they did, I didn't know that that went into a criminal database.
Well, I think it was after, I may be wrong on this. I think it was after, it's either 92 or 2002. It may have been the latter, 2002, that they started doing that. But I think it was for their records. I don't think it was for anything such as CODIS or whatever, at the time. That just happened to be a coincidence. But that I was asking on that. Do you know?
No, I don't.
That would be something to look into right there. And second question on the Evansdale thing.
Yeah.
You mentioned a box-style vehicle. Could that have been the old box-style Explorers? Did he own one of those?
An Explorer?
Yes.
Well, now I don't want to give the vehicle away.
Sorry, man.
No, it's fine. But I mean, I was saving that for when my guest comes on Friday, to talk about the vehicle. But I will say that when I told, you know what, if you give me a call after the show, I can tell you the vehicle, but I mean, like on the show, I don't really want to discuss the vehicle. But when I told Icons a boxy, older style white Suburban, he's like, oh, do you mean it? And I'm like, yeah, exactly. Because I mean, like he knew, he knows his vehicles, and he knows what vehicles kind of fit that pattern, especially from 2012. But he definitely guessed the make and the model of it, not the year. But I'm saying when he said that, I'm like, yeah, bingo, man, you hit a DOB, bro.
Well, wouldn't that be a matter of public record? A man could just go on and check out, what vehicles this guy's on.
You know what? I thought that was the case. And I mean, I tried that. I tried it through the DMV. Now, she found it through his tax records, and that pulled up all of his vehicles. And when I seen it, as soon as I seen it in the year 2012, I was like, bam, that is the vehicle right there. That's it. That's the one I was looking for. No question about it.
Man, hiding in plain sight. Wow. I couldn't fathom the loss of a child. A parent is not supposed to experience that.
Shouldn't. Never.
And for this monster to take these children, at their early points in lives, there's a special spot in hell for him. Lord have mercy. I just can't picture it, man. I just can't understand it either.
Yeah.
You do that. Well, it goes, like I say, he's human. That's just it. He ain't human. There's no humanity about him whatsoever.
I was watching last night, and let me think of who it was that it was talking about. God, man. Who in the world was it? It was a serial killer. No, it was, dang it, man. Help me out. Dennis Rader. They was talking about Dennis Rader, and the guy said that in church that he believed. That's what the guy was saying. I mean, he believed. He goes, I have no, thing and no thought in my mind that he didn't love and have compassion and empathy for his family, and stuff like that. But in law enforcement's like, while that may be true, the people that he selected, he's seen them as objects, that there wasn't that empathy for them because they was a part of his mental fantasy about what he wanted to do to a human, and I think that the same may apply for TB. Because, I mean, he went to church, and I think if you was to ask, and which I've seen, whenever they asked somebody that he knew, a family member or a neighbor or a friend, all of them were the same way. No, man, the guy was good, great guy, man. He was a good dude. He was friendly, loving, compassionate, caring. He went to church. I mean, he was all that. But the thing is that really he wasn't. Not deep down. I mean, the flip side to that coin, he was a devil, man. He was evil. He was a malevolent monster. And it's like, well, how could a person develop two sides like that but not be schizophrenic? It's got to be a multiple personality disorder, but there had to have been cause. There's a cause for the effect. And I think that goes back to his childhood. I really do.
I watched a movie called Frailty here a while back. It had Bill Paxton.
Oh, yeah?
Have you ever seen it?
I don't think I ever did.
You ever get a chance, check it out. It's about this father and his two sons, and he's supposed to be seeing these people. He claims that God gave him the ability to see the demons and whatever, and they're killing all these people. And I don't want to ruin the movie for you, but ends up one of the brothers ended up supposedly getting that ability, and so forth, and it goes on through the movie. But they was able to turn it on like a light switch. Like you was describing with the Raider guy.
Yeah.
It just, wow. It made me think of that movie when you said that. And that scares the heck out of you, man. You don't know who to be out here walking around in public like that, man.
Yeah, you don't. And again, I mean, if it's like somebody that you take to be like people took TB down there, you don't know. But no, I don't want to sound like the news when I say that, because you know what? The reality is, man, that only so many out of one out of every so many million actually go on to become a working serial killer. So if, we got to go off of our human instincts. When I look at somebody and I talk to them, I go off of what I can see, same as we all do. But the simple fact is some of these people are so good at what they do. They're so good at hiding it. You would never see it. There would be no way. That's human nature, man. We take to what we feel is good, and we believe that is good. And then when we're confronted with the fact that that guy did that, we can't believe it. It's like we can't see that through what we already knew, man. His neighbor down there told me, yeah, I hope that he does. I mean, not hope that he gets away with it, but I certainly hope that he didn't do that at the Catholic supply store. He was super friendly. Man, when he was out walking the dogs, he would always stop by. Hi, how you guys doing? Blah, blah, because that's the kind of person that he was around the people he knew.
Well, didn't he have a wife?
Yeah. His wife said the same thing. She couldn't believe that she had no concept that he would do anything like that. She apologized to the family of that lady, man, and said, I don't know what to say. I don't. I mean, I had no idea because, she was dumbfounded by it, literally.
Wow.
Yeah. Everybody was, though. That's the underline. Nobody. The only person that I ever seen say anything bad about him was the guy that he pulled out in front of and then stopped where the guy hit him in the ass at that traffic pullover. He said he got out and came over, started bumping chest. He wanted to fight. I had on a Notre Dame shirt, and he's like, "Oh, you're one of those Catholic, aren't you?" And he goes, "I knew right then he didn't like Catholics." So, he's the only person that talks bad about him. But here's the thing. Alcohol turned that switch. You had the good, TB over here after he got drinking. There came a point when he got into that mood of compliance because he would kill somebody. If he was in that mood and he was going off on somebody that was weak, that he could brutalize, I mean, if they didn't comply, he was going to kill him straight up. Game over. That's how he is. Brutally do it.
Well, it goes back like the old saying, you know, instant A-hole, just that alcohol.
Yeah. Yep.
But wasn't it the reason they called him was a matchbook or something like that he had left behind?
It was a business card.
Okay.
Yeah, he left his business card at Hot Shots.
So if he hadn't left that business card, they would still be trying to solve these crimes.
No, I mean, it's just me. I don't think that there was any way he was going to get away with that Catholic supply store, and he knew that. I mean, he knew that when he was committing the crime that, like, it was all going to come down in a few days. They was going to be at his door. I think, honestly, he was probably looking at, like, police suicide. When they came in, he was probably going to go for his gun, kill, start shooting, die in the process. That's probably what he was looking at, and I'm glad that they got him alive. I really am.
Well, it'll definitely be interesting when they do get, are able to get down into the nitty gritty and able to question him on all these things. And if he allocutes, it would definitely, answer to the public with their questions, myself included.
Yeah.
It definitely, their answers need to come. And, it's been, 3 years now?
It will be 3 years, February 13th. But we still got one more year before they can even file charges. So it's going to be about the 4-year mark when charges are finally filed in Delphi. We're looking after October, after he gets his DOC in Missouri. Then they can go down and talk to him. And then once they go down and talk to him, that's when it will, that's when the charges will be filed. But I think everybody can go talk to him. If he's got any DNA match for any crime, they'll go talk to him. But I think he's going to probably just front right up to all of it. Because in many of the cases, like Delphi, he's hit. Just like the one there in Lennon, Michigan, they can show he was home on leave. I think that he's going to go ahead and make an admission to most of these, but I think he's going to try to bargain it down to, look, I'll admit to everything, but I need life behind bars without parole since I already got that. And I'll tell you everything. But the simple fact is somebody needs to slide him a needle, man.
Well, what was his plea when he got arraigned?
Not guilty.
So he just straight up said not guilty.
Yeah. Well, yeah, but here's the thing: is that nobody going to go in there and say yes, guilty to that because they could hang you on the spot. No one. And I mean, he was under representation. So when I say he said that, well, while initially they would have put that down, it wouldn't matter if he said guilty. They wouldn't have took that plea. They still would have put not guilty.
Well, I guess, I should have asked it better. He could have went underneath the microphone for all I know. I was just trying to find out what all he said, when he went in front of the judge.
Yeah, we don't know that. We have no idea.
I didn't know if it was a public arraignment or what.
Well, it was his initial arraignment. But even when they take you in on the initial, look, man, hell, I've been in there before. On like a DUI. I had one DUI in my life. And I'm like, shit, man, I'll just go in and plead guilty. The dude's like, dude, don't do that. They'll give you a year, man. What? Yeah. And I'm like, okay, I'm not doing that. So.
Don't want no year in the dang county pokey, brother.
Yeah, I ain't doing no more pokey.
That would suck.
Yeah, bet your backside. I don't want it.
Well, I asked a question earlier when before I called you on the Quill case. Have you got any more in on that?
No, but I'm going to do a video after this Friday. I want to touch upon that again, but I want to make a better video, better editing, and kind of really break that down because, I'm really looking at her boyfriend in this as being a big player. And now I can't say her friend, maybe her son. Because if her boyfriend knows and she's going to take off, well, she wouldn't leave her son, who's fully grown, there to be questioning where his mom went off to. So I'm certain that her son had played in as well, probably to help cover on her boyfriend's alibi. Well, he was home because, like all of that. But at the same time, it just looks too much like a setup. There wasn't no abduction. That's clear, man. Even law enforcement said that. There wasn't no abduction. There wasn't anybody outside. Wasn't anybody hit by a bullet. She was clearly lying. Well, if she's out there and she puts her boots and phone on the roof, but then the gun is on the ground, out of bullets on the ground right there, where she hopped out of the window. That's my belief. I don't think she hopped up there with her phone and boots, then hopped down barefoot and lost her gun. That would seem stupid. That's a long ass leap to make. And I don't think it was like that, man. I think she hopped down. She had a ride out there, made it look like an abduction, probably for money for some reason. And I'm sure that's what they're checking into. I think they're narrowing down the options now, and in due time, probably maybe even before this weekend, they'll have something on that. But it won't be that far off, and they will.
Either she stashed somewhere or the boyfriend double crossed her, one of the two.
Yeah, and that's possible.
They said how much insurance money she had on her?
I have no idea. In fact, when I asked the sheriff about a life insurance policy, he's like, I don't really know. I said, well, that's one of the first areas I would have checked. He goes, well, I'm positive that the investigators have looked into that or are looking into it, because you definitely want to check and see if anybody was to make money off of that. And if anybody did, there's a person of interest. You see where I'm at? Because they're looking at it as fishy as hell, same as I am.
Getting back to TB there for a sec. Do you know maybe that if he was over in the Cincinnati area or in Kentucky area?
I can't really say.
Well, I didn't know how much research you've done on him, and as far
well,
as
I know that he.
Fort Wayne and the brother and everything like that.
I know that he was down there at the CSI school. He was there, and he had went there, and one of the things they said, he may have been in that area for like a I forget what it was, like class graduation, something like that. That he may have been there. Now, if he was there, yeah, then you know what? I mean, that Smedley Alley guy, man, he's like last on my list. Because right at that point, I'm definitely going to say that TB is the guy you're looking at. I mean, that girl was done in a very brutal way, and it's in such a way as that TB does. And if he was in that area, that's the shit I'd be looking for right there. Same as what was done to her. I mean, that Mary Pryor, that really made me look at that in a different manner, because I was like, God, man, this is one sick dude. This guy is bent. He's not totally human.
Sit tight till, the time's right, and, the Indiana authorities are able to go down and charge him.
It'll happen next year. We got a year, but.
Well, I'd say there'll be a big spectacle when that time rolls around. What do you think?
Oh, it will. Man, when they bring him to Carroll County, the whole world will be in Carroll County. Like, there will not be one news agency that will not be at that courthouse. Not one. Every single news source in the world will be there.
Well, no, you'll be there.
I'll be there. I'll be there, all right. No,
and I'll tell you what, I look forward to that day. I really do. I guess I'll be having to watch them, online or on TV, but I'll definitely be observing.
I need a live feed camera. Because, man, if I set up there when he comes in, I want that live. Hell, I'll take a drone. Live footage, man. Because that's what's needed. When they're bringing that guy in Carroll County, geez, it's like you could take a rock and damn near hit the jail from the courthouse. I mean, it's that close. It's like what? Like a block and a half, 2 blocks right up Main Street. It's like right there. You can sit right there and see the jail when they bring him out and bring him out. So, I mean, everybody being there, they might have the National Guard there to protect him and be in a line where they take him in, because it's going to be that bad. I mean, the whole community will be there. Every news source will be there. It will be a spectacle, and they will not keep him in Carroll County Jail. I'll guarantee they won't. I mean, they'll move him probably to Indy, but they're not going to hold him anywhere like local like that because they know what will happen. Amber Green, they can bust right in and kill him. And believe me, when you got that many pissed off people, that's something you got to be looking at. It really is.
We have to have security. On a second note, are you going to be taking phone calls during your stream Friday?
Friday? Yeah, yeah. We had already talked about that. Yeah, I'm pretty sure we will.
Okay. Well, I'll be looking forward to that. And I'm going to take it off and give me something to eat, Mike, so you can take calls. I know James said he was wanting to call you. And so you can get to that, and I'll stand by and listen, brother. And I appreciate you talking to me.
Well, I appreciate you giving me a call, man. You have a good evening, Devil.
Hey, I'll write my questions down, and I'll be giving you a call again, brother.
All right. Look forward to it.
Hey, thanks for your time.
No problem. Peace. All right, that's the number. It always calls me right back. I don't know why phones do that. I mean, you know, your phone shouldn't call you like right back and stuff. All right, so well, I got 29 minutes to the top of the hour. If anybody's going to call, do it now because I'm kind of out of things to say until Friday. But Friday, do not miss that premiere video prior to. Nobody wants to miss that because that's going to be a lot of the good talking points when I do the live show Friday evening at 6 p.m. So Friday, December the 13th, the same exact day that I swore into the United States Army. 31? Is it? No, 34. 34 years. Yeah, 34 years prior to this Friday is the exact day, Friday, December the 13th of 1985, that I swore into the Army. So be there for that. Catch the video up front. We'll be discussing his car and the rest. This ties Delphi directly back to Evansdale, just like I had said a year ago. Exactly like I had said a year ago. The same exact that I said I would throw my left arm onto. Yeah. All right. Nobody appears to be calling here. You got 3 minutes. 3 minutes. No telephone call. We're calling it a show, people. Yeah, I like Devil Lance, man. He's good to talk to. Yeah, man, Mastiffs are good dogs. Man, I met a guy up in Chicago one time when I was hitchhiking. He had a 205-pound Mastiff. God, that was a puppy, man. I took a double take. I'm like, oh my God, does that thing eat people? Like, holy shit. Do you ride him around? The guy weighed 200 pounds, man. He was a pretty big guy, man. He goes, that dog outweighs me by 5 pounds. He goes, I weigh 200, it weighs 205. And he told me, he's like, no. He goes, it's not like mean, but it is like, you know, with the family and stuff. So don't make any sudden moves at it. And I'm like, trust me, I won't. I think that dog could have took me in one bite. It was huge. All right. Got 2 minutes. So if anybody's calling, call them now. Make that phone call right there to that number, or I am signing out. And as well, you can email me at this email address 24/7. Just overnight, man. Be leery, man. Don't ask for like something really stupid. Wait till mid-afternoon where I've had my caffeine. That way you can stay subscribed and you won't think I'm a total POS. Hello. It is. Oh, hey, James. How you doing? You want to be on live? Well, it depends. Do you want to be on live? Okay. All right, you're on live, James.
Okay. How's it going, man?
I'm doing. How are you doing?
Good. Pretty good. This case is driving me insane.
Yeah. Same with everybody else, man. We still have a year left.
Yeah, I think about it, every night and stuff, and sometimes I have like nightmares and stuff, but I don't understand, being a normal person and stuff, how a monster can do that. I really don't.
Yeah, I'm with you. And again, I think I have to put it back to childhood because, there's been conversations since probably the beginning of mankind that, like, is a serial killer born or are they created? And
Yeah.
I think in every case, you can look at a time in their life, if they're open and they talk about it, where they can look back at a time near or around, maybe prior to or through those years of puberty when something happened that really started changing their mental aspects in a different way. But then once it happens, and I'm thinking about who had said that. I think it was Ed Kemper. He said it was like a drug that took over. He said, and when that started, he goes, you could fight it, but it just kept coming back that much stronger, that much stronger, that much stronger until you reckoned with it and did it. You see where I'm at? So it's something that starts and builds over a person's life, but it always has a starting point. Nobody comes out of the womb like that,
Yeah. Yeah, my son is the same age that the girls would be and stuff. So it just, every time I see him, I hug him and kiss him more and stuff and everything. It gets to me, stuff like that. I don't know.
Well, I'd have to. It would have to. Look, man, I got a dog, and I know that people don't see that in the same way. And neither do I. But the thing is like that dog he's lived with me for 14 years. It's just me and him, and if somebody ever did, if somebody just went out there and purposely killed my dog in a manner like that, I would have no regard to what was done to that human, and that's not even an innocent child. I would be that person that just might be that guy that shows up to the courthouse, with bad intentions. Because, like, how on earth could another human being assault an innocent soul like that? It makes no sense.
I don't get it either. It drives me insane. Oh, no. I'm from Rochester, New York, and I'm born and raised in Chicago. Now I live in Rochester, New York, and I always drive out for Christmas or for my birthday in February to see my folks and stuff. And this year coming up, I want to stop by more and like leave 2 roses for the girls and stuff. I just feel like something in me is telling me to do it.
Yeah.
So.
One second. I want to see something here. Now, A friend of mine the other day, and I'm trying to remember where in the hell I put that.
Okay.
Because when we was out there, he got a picture. Because when I kept going, when we hit that fence, and you probably don't know what fence it is I'm talking about, but when you're taking the 501 down to Monon High Bridge, man, what in the hell did I do with that? Is it in Delphi? Yeah, it's got to be in Delphi. There it is, right there. Yep, right here. Hey, hang on one quick second. I want to share this so people can see it.
Okay.
This picture right here. In fact, wait, I'm going to blow that up entirely, like that. This picture here he took. Now, this was right off the 505. Now, he went over there with his camera because he stayed at the fence because it said private property. He says, well, it says private property. I said, I'm going to just keep going, because I didn't want to stop, walking. I wanted to, walking time. But I told him after the fact that it says private property, but it's public, but there is private property to the south of the bridge down there. Now, when he took this, he went over there and he seen the little flip-flops on that log with AL. Well, when I got back to that fence and we was continuing back toward the car, he showed me that picture and he says, what does this mean? I said, well, that's Abby and Libby. and he told me that the flip-flops was there, and I said, make sure to send me that. But that right there was right off the 505 trail where people had set that up for the girls. Now,
Wow.
that trail should be named for Abby and Libby. I mean, just like
sure.
the Myers Lake Trail, you know, was named like Little Angels or whatnot. You know, it should be done in the same way.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Well, was that all you had, James?
Yeah. I just wanted to call and get my 2 cents in for a minute, so I'll let you go and get to other callers or whatever.
Well, I'm actually going to just sign on off here now. So, man, I appreciate you calling anyway. And you know what, man? Give me a call back Friday if you want.
Yeah, I'll be tuning in Friday listening to you, and I'll give you a call back.
All right, man. Thanks for calling, bro. Peace.
Yeah, no problem. Bye.
All right, people. I'm going to wrap it up for this. I'm going to wrap it up for this evening. And I will see you guys on Friday, December the 13th, 6 p.m. Eastern time. If you're waiting for a notification, don't. They won't notify you. They don't want that shit, man. They don't want you hearing me, man. They don't want any truths being thrown at you, man. They'd rather you listen to their crap. That's the way that they play it. So until then, I'll see you all in my next video. Peace, everybody. And thanks, man. Thank you, mods. You guys rock.